fly fishing is an art.
It is.
Maybe tell me about it. Talk about it a little bit. I've never fly fished, so if you were explaining it to me on what you did and how you did it, run with it.
Yeah, so I was working at the ski resort, and I had a buddy that was working there, and he's like, dude, I just met a kid that has a plug to get us in in Alaska for fly fishing. I was like, no way, bro. I'm not fit to be a fly fishing guide. There's no way I can be a fly fishing guide. He's like, no, like we could do it. So anyways, we just rolled with it. I'd never met the guy. Like I sent him an email. I was like, hey, here's my resume. I've had this much experience in fly fishing. He's like, great, come up. He like gave me we were in Sitka.
Okay.
Just gave me the address and told me to get there. However, you can only get there planer boat. So me and my buddy just put it together and we're like, all right, let's buy a ferry ticket. So we drove all the way up through, the United States, through Canada, and then hopped on a ferry.
There?
Yeah, 32 hours, dude. Coming home, I did 19 straight, like running off of Sour Patch Kids and rock stars, and it was like I became a man that night. Not really, but you know what I'm saying.
You and your buddy became a man.
Oh no, he was sleeping, dude. He was 12 sheets to the wind. But yeah, we just went up there and we just got at it. Honestly, minimal training. It was just like they took us out on a tour, just like a company tour. Like, hey, here's, it wasn't even fly fishing. It was like deep sea fishing that we weren't going to be doing. They're like, here's Sitka, and then next, like, you got a six person group tomorrow. Like, be here at 12. All right. So we just showed up, and like they did take us up the river once, but other than that, like they give you a bag, some flies, and we just started going at it.
That's it.
Yeah, I learned a lot that summer, like about fly fishing, about myself.
About bears.
Bears, holy shit, dude.
I bet.
Yeah, there was one night we were coming down, it was called Sawmill Creek in Sitka, and the bottom of the canyon's a sawmill. The top of the canyon's like 6 miles up, but like it's like Lake Powell, like you've got 60-foot cliffs up both sides. And then like the bottom of the river is like maybe 20 feet wide. Anyways, so we're up there fishing, me and my buddy, and we never carried bear spray with us in this creek because the bottom is like, you got a sawmill running. No bears are going to come trotting through there.
Sure.
And the top's 6 miles up, and like seriously, there's the river that's 20 feet wide, and then there's 5 feet of bank on each side. It's like there's not much for the bears to be in there for except for the fish, but they're not going to come down 5 miles for that.
You think,
yeah. Turns out. So yeah, we'd never carried bear spray, and honestly, it was probably a little naive of us. Just we had been there for a while, but like Sitka has, I think the stat was like 1.3 bears per square mile. And they're ABC bears, so they're a mix of the Kodiak and a polar bear. So they're huge.
Really?
Like females on average are like 1,200, and I think males are 900. And they're mixed with a polar bear, which those guys just kill for sport. So like they're just a crazy bear.
Jeez.
There's no big game on that island except for Sitka black-tailed deer that like breed like rabbits. It's just the only thing keeping them alive. Other than that, like no moose, no elk. There was a few goats here and there, but other than that, like the bears had wiped out everything. So yeah, we were hiking down the river. We were up fishing. We were like 2 miles up from the car, and it was getting dusk. Like you could barely see where you're going.
And you've got people with you?
No, this is just me and my buddy after work. So yeah, we're having a great time. He was having a great time. I was done. I was like, dude, this is the worst day. Like I'm fishing so bad. So I was like, I'm heading down before I can't see. He's like, okay, I'm just going to throw a couple more casts and I'll be down behind you. So I got running down and got like maybe a mile from him. I started hearing branches break on the other side of the river. I was like, oh, great. That can't be a bear though. Like there's no way a bear's in here. And then like I heard this big old cannonball. Like the bear had done like a triple back dive into the river right next to me. And like I looked in the river, and sure enough, there's like this big black object. It was dark enough. Like all I could see was a figure. I'm like maybe 10 feet from it, sitting on the riverbank. Jeez. And yeah, I don't think it even knew I was there. But when that started happening, like there's a few things they tell you when you see bears, and that's you don't want to surprise them. You don't want to run from them because it's like a dog. You run from a dog and they're like, game on. You. Yeah. So I'm like sitting there freaking out. We don't have bear spray. My buddy's coming down. He didn't get the chance to hear the bear jumping in the river. Like the bear's silent now. He's just swimming around trying to get fish.
They're so quiet.
Yeah.
Was it super like eerie quiet for how big they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're sneaky, dude. Those pads, like, yeah, they get around anywhere. Anyways, so I knew that my buddy was coming down behind me, but like, what was I going to do? So I was like a mile from the car at this point. I just started like quick walking towards like the next corner. And like, I'd do a double take on the bear. Finally, I got around the corner and I just beelined it. I dropped my fishing bag, dropped my fishing pole, and just started sprinting for the car where we had like 6 or 7 bear sprays. And like I think I was like 20 years old. I was scared out of my mind. So I took 3 bear canisters per hand. I had them like lined up on this finger, and this finger. And then all 3 of them, I popped the clips off of them and I just started running up to my buddy. I mean, I don't know why I grabbed 6, but I was going to mess his bear up, dude. He wasn't getting my buddy. So yeah, I ran up there and I was just yelling at the top of my lungs and got back up there, and my buddy was right where the bear was at, but no bear to be seen. But like, I was freaking out.
You think he like spooked it or what?
I don't know. I was screaming so loud, and like I said, it was like 60-foot walls on both sides. So I'm sure I'm hoping it took off, but I don't know where he would have gone because there's 5 feet of bank on each side. And the side he jumped from had a ledge. So he was probably on the same side of the river. But yeah, I got up there. I was like, dude, do you see the bear? He's like, what bear? There was a bear right there. Anyways.
That's terrifying. I mean, are they pretty aggressive? I mean, they're massive.
I didn't ever have I had one like actual encounter where they were like coming to check me out. We were out on an ATV tour on like a volcano island, and we had a couple clients with us. Same buddy. There's like this meadow you'd stop in to like sit there and watch the bears because they'd be grazing. There's a river it went through they'd eat fish out of. And we were sitting up on this road just looking down into the meadow, and this little cub, maybe a little bit bigger than a cub, he was somewhat mature, popped up on the road and was just like super curious. He came like walking over to us. I still have the video of it. Like he's just like, he popped up on the road and like looked at us and then looked the other way and looked back at us and just started walking straight towards us with like no problems. Like, oh, what are these guys doing?
What's this?
We're like freaking out. We're like yelling at it, you know. It got like 30 or 40 feet away from us and then just dove off the other side of the road and took off. But like that was the closest encounter I'd ever, I mean, other than the river, but like that was the first time like a bear had seen me and been like, I'm going to check this guy out.
Does it bolt? Like they usually just bolt?
Like take off?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can run over 30 miles an hour and they can get to that in like 3 or 4 strides, I think. They're fast.
Dude, so I've done it this last May, and then the last year May. I was going to say yesterday May. Last year May. We did bear hunting in Canada for black bear.
Okay.
But it's totally different experience. Like they're not scared of you in the sense that they're curious, like you were saying. Like this last year, a guy has a video of one walking up and licking its barrel. Like this, I mean, it was a smaller bear, walked right up to the blind and licked the barrel. And I mean, they'll just come right, they'll walk. But if you like twitch or move fast, they'll take off. They're gone. But like you were saying, how quiet they are. I mean, and these are 200, 300 pound bears. So they're quite a bit smaller than what you encountered. But like, dude, they're so silent.
Yeah.
Like every now and then you'll hear a branch break or a tree. But dude, when they want to be quiet, they're gone.
That's all they do every day.
Freaking
They're
ghosts.
going to be sneaky. Got to get their food.
Dude, anyone like I don't know how I feel about being in Alaska around bears, but like where we were at up in Canada, I mean, they're like deer down here. Like they're everywhere. Like you're driving down the road and they're just walking across the street. They're everywhere. But for the most part, they're skittish. It's like if you yelled at it, it'd just take off. But sitting there in those blinds, dude, and just having bear hanging out. I mean, they're 10 feet from you. I mean, the bait's 30 feet from you.
Yeah.
And they're just walking around, chilling. I had like 3 cubs walk up on me. Dude, it's the coolest thing ever.
They're just sniffing.
Yeah, dude. But it's weird because they're just like big, like what I saw. Again, it's different from what you saw, but like they're just big dogs.
Yeah.
These big dogs walking around. And like, I have a video of one I took last year. It was like 9 feet from me, and we just had like some brush in between us. And I've got a video of it. Dude, my dumb ass, like I'm sitting there with my phone and you can see my gun laying across my lap. And I've got my phone like videoing this thing.
Yeah.
Because it was like the 4th bear I'd seen that day. And like at that point, I just wasn't even scared of him anymore, which is probably dumb, but
I think it's cool. I wonder like how, I don't know, I'm sure it depends on the breed, but like I think like if you were to actually be able to control your energy, I feel like animals can read energy really well. Like dogs, like, I mean, even my dog, I walk into the house with a little bit more pep in my step than normal. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna fill this guy out.
Yeah.
I would imagine bears are the same way, especially because like all day, every day, they're working for survival.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder if you could approach them with like a really humble demeanor. I would never want to test it, but like, I wonder if like, you know, they'd roll over. Not really, but like yeah.
If they would not be scared, like not be skittish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you end up like the guy that lived with bears and got ate by them. But like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you, dude. And that's when I show this video to people, they're always like it didn't even like come after you, and I'm like, nah, dude, if anything, if I'd have moved, he'd have just taken off.
Yeah.
You know? And he ended up being like 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", like 290. So like ended up being a good sized bear. I didn't know it at the time, you know? Like it was the closest any of them got to me. So I didn't know that it was big.
Yeah.
Until the guide came up after I took it, and they were like, dude, that's a good one. That's a good one. At least 6.5. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, like, but I don't know. That's a fun experience. I've talked about it a few times, but Brandon Neal, he has a grizzly. Like he's got a taxidermied at his house. And like, dude, that's a whole nother world. Like going at like what you were doing with Kodiaks and grizzlies, like that's a whole nother world than what I was doing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I mean that's a dream for me, dude. I don't know if I'd ever want to live in Alaska, but there's a lot of hunting trips and guided trips up there that I'm super interested in going and hitting up the next 10 years.
Yeah, you ought to just buy a little piece of property up there to become a resident, because if you're a resident, you get the wild card. You can basically do anything you want.
Dude, do you know that the Indians and like the Native American Indians in Canada can do whatever the hell they want?
Oh yeah.
Always go like kill a moose whenever they want. They, like we went fishing. We had a fishing guide we went fishing with up there. And I guess it was the time before I went, but we went the same guide the next year. He was just keeping everything. And for us, it was like, if you caught a walleye, it had to be 17 to 19 inches.
Yeah.
So you had 2 inches. And like, if it was bigger or smaller, you had to throw back.
It. Yeah.
And that dude's like, oh, 15 inches, throw it in my cooler. You know, he's like, I can keep it. I'm Indian.
Oh, that's
I'm just
awesome.
like, who freaking knew, man?
Yeah. In Sitka, there's sea otters everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Like they just get in like little pods. And just like sit there and float on their backs. It's like the cutest little thing. But you can like just take your boat out, and if you're Native American, you can't kill them if you're, you know, just your everyday white guy. But if you're Native American, you can go out there.
If you're a privileged white guy.
Yeah, if you got the white privilege card, you're not privileged. You don't get to do any of that
stuff. The
otters. No. But yeah, they'll just sit there, and like the Native Americans, it's actually, I'm jealous of them. They can go out there with the boats, and like from wherever they want, you can just pop them, like pull your gun out and just start as many as you want. But when you take those things back, they have to skin them and they have to alter them in some way, but then they can sell them for like $400 a foot.
Holy cow.
A queen size sea otter comforter. Guess how much that runs?
How much?
$30,000.
$30,000?
$30,000 at a fur gallery.
And they're out there just freaking scooping them up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So when I lived in a warehouse, and like they were framed out. The warehouse was framed out for different apartments. We had a guy, his name was Wayne. He was a Native American, and he would come back every day with like 7 sea otters. He'd just go out in the boat and, you know, find one of the 3,000 pods that was out there, pop a couple of them, bring them back, and then he's selling like 7 pelts that are $4 feet a piece for $100 a foot. So,
holy cow.
Like off the counter or out of the ocean, you know, it's $100 a foot. But then after that, it's like a fur gallery sells them at a lot more than that. They have like 2 million hairs or a million hairs per square inch.
So you're doing what, like $3,000 a day?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that guy was just, and it was a cool thing too, because he would like skin them, and then the carcass was worth nothing, so he'd throw it out in our backyard. And eagles up there are just like the basic Tweety bird down here. So we'd have like eagles just zooming in like 15 feet away from us and fighting over. Like there'd be like 50 or 60 eagles in our backyard at one time, just fighting over carcasses. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's what was crazy up there. It was like they would get beavers. So the trappers with the trap lines and stuff, they'd go trap beavers, and then they would skin them and then give the carcass to the bear hunters. And then they would bait the baits with the bear hunt for the bears with beavers. And then the bears would come in and you get a bear, and then they skin the bear and give it to the hunter. And then they go put that carcass on another pile and the wolves come in. And then you can go get a wolf. And I'm like, geez, man, like everyone's always like, do you eat this? Do you eat that? And I'm like, no, they just bait the next thing with it.
Yeah. Just work your way down the food chain.
Exactly.
How about it?
Dude, I'm trying to decide if I want to go bear hunting again this next year. But dude, it's the funnest thing. It's so fun to go. And the group of the guys that we went with, so Ryan Knapp is his name. He's buddies with actually Blake with Blue Form, and Brandon and Jeff. And I'm pretty sure Ryan went with them. They all just got back from hunting.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Dude, Ryan's a stud. So he sets up that bear hunt that we have gone on the last 2 years.
That's
it's
sweet.
so fun. He goes like every year. And they didn't even go to hunt, dude. He just goes for have a good time with everyone.
Yeah.
That's what I love. Like, he knows the guides by now. He's gone like 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, does that stuff interest you? I mean, being up in there, Alaska, you want to go hunt and do all that stuff too?
Yeah, I think it'd be a party. I would love it. I'd like to have some property in Alaska at some point. If for nothing else, the rights you get as being a citizen up there or a resident.
I mean, does that have to be your primary resident though?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 months is what they require. But then you get like as a Sitka resident, you could buy, I think, 5 deer tags for $15 a piece over the counter. You don't even have to draw for them.
Jeez. And it sounds like they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You probably just go smoke them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You just take your boat out and just like hit the beaches. There'll be one on the beach. Boom. There's one. Throw it in a bag and take it. It's
well,
crazy.
they have like crazy regulations on, not crazy. It's a good thing, I think. But they have regulations on like field dressing the entire animal. It's like you can't leave any of the carcass behind, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's Alaska.
I never
I could
actually
be
did a
wrong.
hunt, so I don't know. I just got to hear all the fancy numbers.
Yeah, because I was looking at I wasn't really looking at it to do it. I just thought it was a cool hunt. It was like a DIY river float. And so it's like you and 2 buddies. So there's not really a guide. Like they set you up with all the equipment and then you go do it.
That would be sweet.
And I'm like, dude, it was like a moose, a caribou, 2 black bears. I mean, it was like an elk. Like it was like every animal possible. It was like 10 or 12 trophies.
Wait, they give you the tags for each of these?
Yeah.
For the
Yeah. And so I'm like, this would be dope. And so I go talk to my buddy. He's a big hunter. And he's like, yeah, it's cool till you shoot a moose and it gets into the trees. And then you got to go field dress the entire thing out. And when you take that shot, it's just a dinner bell for the grizzlies to come.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, so if you don't drop that thing on the riverbank, like you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a good point. Think about that.
Yeah, that is a good point.
But I was like, dude, I wouldn't do it by myself or like with my DIY buddies. But if you really, like if Brandon Neal wanted to do it, dude, I'd be all in.